when Drew Brees came back for that first game in late December against the Chiefs, and it looked like he wasn't right, that went away quickly. He did continue to heal on the fly. We didn't have those same concerns on Christmas Day against the Vikings, although you or I could have played quarterback that day with Alvin Kamara scoring 6 touchdowns. And then, when they dismantled the Panthers on Sunday, 33-7, by all indications, however many broken ribs there were, they're healed, and Drew Brees is fine going into the postseason.
Yes, seems fine. And honestly, since that Kansas City game, I've been a little I've liked what I've seen from Drew Brees. I feel like there's been a little bit more of a concerted effort as a football team to not necessarily throw bombs and everything, but push the ball down the field. They had the game against the Vikings on Christmas Day. To me, one of the most impressive stat lines I've seen from Drew Brees in a long, long time. A long time. I don't sit here and look at, 35 for 40 for 280 yards and, 2 touchdowns as a great thing. Okay. Yeah, I know there's great completion percentage and it's decent yardage, but I think 19 for 26 for 311 yards, and I know he threw 2 interceptions, but they were a far more dangerous offense that day because you had to worry about defending the whole field. And Drew Brees, when he was dropping back the pass, instead of looking for 4-yard gains, was looking for 15 and 20-yard completions. And then that helped Kamara start gashing them in the run game because Minnesota was like, whoa, they're coming after us today. It's not the dink and dunk offense. And if they can continue that and Drew can continue that, I think they are more dangerous with that approach than they are of, hey, we're going to go 12 plays and 70 yards every drive of the playoffs against the best defenses in football. To me, that's the problem with the Saints. That's why they have lost in the playoffs. You got to have some plays, playmakers, explosive plays. You can't always have the pressure on Brees and Sean Payton to execute these perfect drives, drive after drive after drive after drive. For 3 games in a row in the playoffs against the best defenses, not realistic. So I've been very pleased and pleasantly surprised is what I'm saying with Drew Brees here as of late.
And there's been so many weeks where he's been the question mark. He's not this week. The question mark is Alvin Kamara returning from the COVID-19 reserve list on Sunday without practicing. How effective will he be? Michael Thomas, star receiver, practicing yesterday after a stint on injured reserve due to an ankle that still wouldn't heal from the injury suffered way back in week 1. Taysom Hill, limited in practice with a concussion. So a lot of questions around Brees. No questions about Brees. And in what will likely be his last shot at getting to a second Super Bowl and winning a second Super Bowl, he's going to be more motivated than ever. He is a high-end competitor. We talked about competitive drive last week with Aaron Rodgers. Drew Brees is as competitive as anyone about everything. This is it for him. If we believe the things that Sean Payton periodically has said this year, this is it for Drew Brees. And maybe I don't know. Maybe it won't be. Maybe they get close. Maybe he decides. Remember he told us at the Super Bowl that it was actually the 2017 season that had him thinking the most about retirement because they had struggled for so many years before that. If they hadn't had a strong season in 2017, he may have walked away. But I think this ability to get close 3 straight years, and now here they are for 4 straight years. If they don't finish the job this year, will that be a factor in him saying, I'm going to come back and give it a try for 1 more year? Because we know they all want to be able to walk off into the sunset with a Super Bowl trophy under their arm.
Yeah, well, I know. You're right. And, that's a rare thing. That's a very rare thing. Am I wrong? We've only seen 2 quarterbacks in the history of the sport do that, right? And they both played for the Denver Broncos, and Peyton Manning and John Elway. I don't think anybody else has walked off in that fashion. But, it's a good question, Mike. If he wins the Super Bowl, he's out of here, right? But if he lost the Super Bowl in a close football game or, again, lost the NFC Championship in a close football game, I would think that makes him, think extra hard about, do I give it 1 more crack? Yeah, I'm not as good as I was and all that, but I can still win games playing quarterback and doing that. I think that's a real possibility. There's no doubt. I also wonder, do the Saints, though, really want that? I think that's a fair question to ask on top of that. Right.
I agree. I don't think they do. I think they're ready to move on.
I think so, too.
And I think from Drew Brees' perspective, the more you stack up these close but no cigar playoff runs, the more tormenting it will be for you for the rest of your life after football, especially if you believe you still could have done it. The thing your dad said that inspired Brett Favre to keep playing, that he decided at some point he was going to play until they ripped the uniform off of me, and Favre decided, I'm not leaving any years in the tank. And if Drew Brees leaves a year or two in the tank and he's got to live with that for the rest of his life, that may be something he doesn't want to do.
That's right.
So maybe he needs the Saints to tell him, no thank you, before he will walk away. Because if they would say, come on back, and he doesn't, and they haven't delivered that second Super Bowl win, that may be something that he just can't get proper closure on his career with, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, very real possibility. But I would say to any player, play as long as you can. Make them push you out the door. Make them, like you just said, rip the uniform off you and say it's over, it's done. The quote my dad, the big effer that Brett Favre heard, he heard my father on the radio, and just they were going, what would you tell Brett Favre? And, Big Phil just went, well, I'd tell him there's only so many rounds of golf you can play. What else are you going to do? So dad had their jersey ripped off of him. He did. He played 15 years. He got elected to the Pro Bowls last year, but he was one of the first salary cap casualties in the history of the NFL. He almost came back with some other teams, but he's the perfect person to listen to in that kind of scenario, and I think that's good advice for Drew Brees. If you can still do it, go after it, but that's going to be a question he'll have to evaluate after the year, where his body feels, how his body feels, and everything like that.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.